Let's see what's going on. It's a particularly trivial day today, if the British press is to be believed. Beyonce's sister beats up Jay-Z. I mean, in the photos of him, he just looks like he's holding his cheek a little bit. Solange Knowles launched the assault in a hotel lift, punching and kicking him with both feet and fists. That's punching and kicking covers that. The worst bit was when she kicked him with her fist and did a foot punch. She bent her toes over like a bunch of bananas and foot punched Jay-Z. She laid into him as soon as she thought they were out of sight after leaving a New York bash. The bashing has only just started. That's my joke. I don't think I've learned anything from knowing that about Jay-Z. It's just there's been a quarrel. A quarrel in a family. That's that sort of thing that happens all the time, doesn't it? Just have a bit of a quarrel with your family. When was the last time I was hit by a girl? Recently. I don't like it. Like, it was only in the arm, but it was too hard. They punch too hard, I think, don't they? Like, because they sort of go, right! You have to sort of go, ow! Ouch! Stop hitting me. Richard and Judy, why we have a suicide pact? You don't need to explain. Just get on with it. Right, what we're going to do about Barlow there. There he is with his OBE and his wonky eyes. That's probably, look, his eyes are a bit wonky. You probably can't see when he's filling in his tax forms. Should Gary Barlow pay back his tax? Yes, says Rod Liddell. No, says Kay Hopkins. Well, yes. Yes. Cameron supports Gary Barlow's thing. Of course he does. He don't mind people not paying tax. That's his modus operandi, isn't it? Chocolate and red wine won't extend your life. So stop drinking red wine and eating chocolate. I know it won't. It's probably only you that said it would. Keep seeing stuff about this schoolgirl slaves parade. Terror group Boko Haram yesterday released a shock video of 130 Nigerian schoolgirl captives. The youngsters are seen gathering in prayer while free talk to camera. Islamist militant leader Abubakar Shakau says he would swap the abducted girls for adult prisoners. He adds, "These girls you occupy yourselves with, we have indeed liberated them. These girls have become Muslims." He said they would be held until his group's imprisoned militants had been freed. I don't know, it's become a bit of a craze in America, hasn't it? But as someone pointed out, like, you know, like Michelle Obama posed with a "Free the Girls" hashtag thing, someone pointed out that many more girls from neighbouring nations are being killed by drone strikes authorised by Barack Obama. So it's interesting now, if something becomes sort of like an interesting story, we'll care about it. It's sort of like a meritocratic system of things that you can care about. And like on the basis of today's star, number one is Jay-Z's cheek. Extremism, think about your own life, or think about my own life. When I do something extreme, it's because I feel threatened or insecure or worried. When I feel like I've got extremism occurs when other options are exhausted, and terrorism is a form of extremism. So really the only solution is to sort of negotiate. If you sort of, what you can do, if you execute, like if you go on some sort of wild purge, some war on terror. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, don't give those girls back, do give those girls back, but it's a convenient villain because, you know, they're Muslim, they're militant, they're black. Good, let's vilify them. 6, if it's for this you don't succeed, beg, says Rolf Harris, repeatedly molested a girl, age 13, before sends her in a note. When it comes to having sex, if at first you don't see, beg. Right, there's all these stories of corruption, whether it's the corruption of a government, the corruption of Gary Barlow, or the corruption of Rolf Harris, because it's, you know, it's a form of corruption, isn't it? We trusted him, he's on kids' TV, and now his allegations that he's doing all this skullduggery. What it does is it creates this sort of format that things happen, then it's all exposed that, you know, that Gary Barlow, who we all liked, wasn't paying tax, or Rolf Harris, who we all liked, was nonsense, or David Cameron's flawed and corrupt. And then there's no consequences for any of these people, or nothing really changes. Some people get a little bit of jail time, but generally speaking, things stay the same. And that's a conservative narrative. That's like, things will stay the same. This is the way things are. Things pop up and expose for a while, and we all sort of complain and lament, and there's loads of columns about it, and then it disappears again. And that in itself is like there's no sort of sense in any of these papers that, right, for fuck's sake, let's sort this shit out. This is mental. In the end, you get to the point of like this apathy they complain about. They complain that I sort of inspired by saying don't vote. They talk about, in a way they inculcate, because they show that they're constantly telling you that nothing can change, that this is the way things are. Here's some important information that might help us. Ultimately, if you protect yourself perfectly, You will never grow. All your habits and idiosyncrasies will stay the same. Life becomes stagnant when people protect their stored issues. People say things like, you know we don't talk about that subject around your father. There are all these rules about things that are not supposed to happen outside because they could disturb life inside. Living like this allows very little spontaneous joy and enthusiasm and excitement for life. It's difficult really because there's a lot of administration required, but more important than the administration and bureaucratic change and structural change that society requires is that for all of us to within ourselves connect to the spontaneous connection with the, I don't want to sound woolly, but I'm going to, the eternal that's within us. Like behind your thinking and behind my thinking and behind my fear, there's another part of me that's aware that I'm a conscious, sentient being. All of us have that. And what I feel that we have to do is find a way to connect with that on an individual basis and on a social basis. It's impossible to happen while we're sort of living in terror and fear. If we live constantly imprisoned within the structures, within the beliefs, exams are important, voting is important, until we're prepared to, what happens when we go beyond these ideas? What happens when we allow ourselves at least the potential of spontaneous change? Have a little think about that. I'm not saying I've got all the answers. I don't even know if there was a question. Dun, 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 dun.
Nose is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the nose. If the nose was true, I want some trews. Let's have some trews.